Hey, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you perfectly. Can you hear me?
You're perfect. Thank you. Sorry, I was just having some jitters today. Got the admin test today,
Nice.
and
Did you took it already, or you're planning on taking it today?
taking it later on this evening. It's like
Nice,
right at 5, I believe. So fun times.
nice, nice. How you feel about it?
uh, I was okay with it until I took a break from my actual training and started going into like six and PMP and
Yeah,
everything's starting to become a little bit more I guess cluttered. So I'm been taking the focus on force tests and this,
yeah,
that, and the other. It's it's having its moments where it comes up and it becomes clear again, but then there's always that fogginess.
yeah. No, I completely appreciate that. Well, first of all, good luck on your test today. I would
Thank
definitely follow up with you to see how you did. But I've been studying for my security and visibility designer exam. And again, I took a break of like 5 weeks from even looking at the stuff. And then yesterday, I actually went through and did the practice exam through Focus on Force. And the
you.
one that I was getting like 80s and 90s on before, I think I got like a 62 on it this time. So
Yeah,
definitely perishable skills. You gotta keep going through them. So
it definitely seems like it's fleeting.
yeah. Well, good luck. I'm sure
Thank you,
you.
sir.
Is this your first certification that you're taking?
Yes, sir.
Nice. All right. Well, like I said, I'll
First
follow up.
time and first time and well, I don't know. I'm just nervous, I guess the best way of explaining it.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's all kinds of resources out there as far as like testing strategies and things like that for the Salesforce exams. One thing that's always worked for me for the ones that I've taken, and I even did this in school. Like when I think about tests in school, I try to go through them, from start to finish, do every question. The ones that I'm not sure of, I flag those for review, but I just keep on going. I don't try to linger on one too long or overthink it. So go through it one time, flag the ones you're not absolutely sure on, and then I'll go back through it again for the ones that I flagged and just check those and answer those. And if I have time left, I will literally go through every question again just to kind of read through them and make sure everything looks okay. But I'm definitely one of those notorious testers where I'll literally take every minute that I have that they give you just to kind of go through things. Now, there's a danger in that because sometimes you'll go through it a second time and you're like,
Second guess.
yeah, you start second
Yeah.
guessing yourself. But um, yeah, but yeah, good luck, and I'll look forward to hearing your passing score next time we talk.
Definitely wish thank you. Hope wow. Thank you for the well wishes. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
absolutely. All right. Well,
And
looks like we
Bruce,
have
just
a.
from experience, if you do not pass, it is okay. It is okay. Take a breath, take it again in a week, and I promise you will do so much better. So it is okay. I'm pretty sure everyone fails a test on these certifications exams at some point. So it is okay if this is not the time that you pass it.
Thank you so much. I've always been really like a perfectionist and I fear failure and it always makes me like almost staggered and almost like a paralyzing method, that I just don't move forward because I'm like, I know I could do so much better if I give it a little more time and I keep pushing out the date and it's it's a crippling feeling.
There's
Yeah,
something to be said about
absolutely.
just doing it and moving forward.
Yes. I was the
Passion
same
proud.
way. I thought the world was ending. I thought no one ever failed it. I thought I was the only person because I hadn't heard people talk about it. So it's
Mm.
okay if you do not pass the first time.
Thank you. I really do appreciate it, y'all.
Yep. Very cool. Well, looking at the time, it's about three after. Very quick question for those that joined the call. Is this anybody's first time joining this office hours call? All right, so I see at least one hand. So just to give you a very quick overview of what these calls are and what we do, there are two different types of office hours we have. One is hosted on Wednesdays by David Nava. Great sessions. If you have not joined those sessions, you have to join those sessions. If you can't make those sessions, he's even started recording them, so you can go back and listen to them. But The focus of those calls is around, branding, your self-branding, your career development, test taking tips, all that kind of stuff about trying to transition from the military or, being a military spouse or an ally and trying to get into the ecosystem and more career focused. What we do on Fridays is more technology focused, right? So this is meant to be an open forum that if you have questions about Trailhead, a super badge, an issue that you're working on at work that you're stuck on, you need help with an idea, some kind of Salesforce project, basically just give you a live open forum that you can ask those questions and get help. And if I can't help, or if people on the call can't help, then what I'll do is I'll take it as a takeaway and I'll reach out to my network and we'll see if we can find you help. So that is the primary focus of our call that we have today. Now, in addition to that, we have two other types of Friday office hours calls. We have workshops, which our next workshop is actually scheduled for this Friday coming up. I haven't sent out the invitation yet and all the details, but it's going to be Salesforce MVP is going to be presenting Salesforce Omnichannel, which is again, one of those pieces of functionality that in my 10, 12 years of working on the platform, I've never touched it one time. So I'm excited for that one as well. So we're going to have a couple workshops coming up. The next one, like I said, is next Friday. And then we also have, I thought this would be another kind of, interesting thing for those that are new to the platform, where you're going into a company expected to be an admin, answer all the questions, do all that stuff. A lot of times there are certain things that we just can't do as admins. You can't build it yourself, whether it's too complex, too big, and you might want to go to the App Exchange to try to find a solution there. So I thought it would be good if we start inviting some App Exchange partners where their products address common admin use cases, common use cases you would see at a company as an entry level administrator. Letting them kind of present what the challenge is, how their solution addresses that challenge, and just giving us a walkthrough of what their apps can do. And that way, we're even more prepared to speak to those apps, while we're making recommendations, for our companies. So we're going to try to do that. We have two actually scheduled coming up the next couple of weeks. We have one from Matt Kennedy from Own Backup, and then we have one coming up for TaskRay, which is a great customer onboarding, project management type application. So a lot of cool stuff coming up. I'll make sure we post a schedule out in both the Trailblazer community, our VetForce community. We'll post it in LinkedIn, so that way not just veterans, military spouses, but also allies, folks that are, joining that might not have been in the military or be affiliated with the military, they can still, benefit from a lot of this stuff. So a lot to come. But for today, I have just one item that was on the agenda, and then we can open it up for questions. But the one item that I have for today is Dreamforce. So did everybody get a chance to at least attend a few sessions of Dreamforce this past week? Yeah, I think my main takeaway, I guess, is that Slack everything, I guess, is the
Slack is the buzzword.
Yeah, here's the thing, right? So I'm a little skeptical at first, right? Just hearing how they're going to integrate everything to Slack. And the way I kind of rationalize this in my head, I'm like, okay, I remember when the Alexas and the Google devices and all these things came out, how cool it would be to be able to use your voice to turn on lights, right? And everybody was doing it. And it's like, we were doing it. Every light was now a smart light and everything we did in our house. And I went to my uncle's house and he actually put these smart lights in his bathroom. So like, you couldn't go in the bathroom and flip a light switch. You had to go in and say like, okay, whatever, like turn on the lights in the bathroom. I'm like, is this really better? Like, is that good? Do we want to do this? So I started getting some of those feelings with Slack. Like, we can do flows in Slack and Trailhead in Slack and marketing in Slack. And I guess I just need to jump into it, get a feel for it, actually get my hands on it before I can get it. But any other thoughts as far as Slack?
I actually asked, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh. Hi, Bill. This is Iris. Thank you for connecting with me on LinkedIn. I finally made it for a session. I actually asked David that question, like, so what's the thing between Slack and Chatter, and is Slack going to take over from Chatter? How is it going to mingle? Because I felt like a lot of the capabilities of Slack was already in Salesforce. So
and I think somebody might have asked that question during one of the presentations. It might have been the admin keynote or somewhere after that. And I think the way they mentioned this, it was basically Chatter is it's going to be more of like the record specific type functionality where like, a stage changes or, some key field changes, you got that kind of history. You could chat in the context of a single record. I think that's still going to be there for Chatter. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, I mean, is Slack now going to be the new Chatter? Is it going to be the same UI? Is it going to be each record has its own Slack channel? I don't really know. It just seemed very disconnected.
I wonder if that means that Slack is going to be available like a related list on a record in Salesforce so that you can see the Slack history.
I don't know. But what I can do here, let me just share my screen real quick. So one of the things I wanted to mention too is that all these calls, I try to take notes and I try to, we record the call and I post the recording, and I put these all in a Quip document, which I just installed Slack for Quip. So that's the other thing, Slack for Quip. So I'll share these notes, but one of the things that's in here that I put here was the Slack link here, where they basically detailed out everything that was presented about Slack in Salesforce. So, like I said, Slack first, everything. I'm assuming that within a couple of weeks we're gonna have office hours on Slack. So I'll send out the Slack channel for that. But yeah, so just across the board, sales, service, marketing, Quip, like I just said, I just installed that. All the different, industry like sustainability cloud, healthcare cloud, nonprofits. So I don't know. It's I'm undecided as of yet as to how big of an announcement this is, but we'll see. I don't know. I think that the coolest thing I saw about Slack was the flows in Slack. I can see how that could be useful, where you can actually have a screen-based flow of Salesforce presented to your users in Slack. So I don't know. We'll see. Any other thoughts on Slack before I kind of go through the other items on my list here?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool to see. My name's Ben, and it's my first time here, so it's great to be here. But yeah, I was super excited about that. I worked at a company that like used Slack for everything, and we didn't really do email. Pretty much, email was just like a log of, what deployments happened, and it was really just automated emails came in.
Yeah.
But at my current company now, it's like everything's email, and we don't really have an internal chat tool, and so it's a completely different culture where, if I could expose, like if people could fill out a flow, like you were saying, and like, submit a case for something that's messed up internally that I need to fix, or they could do that all from Slack, like on their phones, and didn't have to log into Salesforce, but I could still get relevant Salesforce data. Like, to me, that's huge. And I think that's a big time saver. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, no, I think honestly, I would appreciate it more, I think, if I had a bigger team. So right now it's me, and really for like, full-time staff, it's really like me and 3 other people. Right. So, I mean, sometimes I feel like I over-engineer things. I want to build like all kinds of workflows and teams and Slack. And it's just, I don't know. Like I said, we'll have to see. I think the other part of it is I feel kind of bad because we started with Slack. We did a migration to Office 365 for email. And then, of course, we have Teams access. We moved everything over to Teams. Now they're doing all this Slack stuff. I'm going to feel bad when I tell my team that, yeah, we're going to go back to Slack. So it's like a lot of back and forth.
Yeah, we're just trying to spin up Teams right now. And I'm looking at this. I'm like, man, maybe we should just do Slack instead of Teams,
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of this stuff's available now. Like I said, I just installed the Slack for Quip, so I'll check that out. But when I share the information about this meeting here, I can even put the Quip doc in the chat here. But there is that link there. We can kind of take a look at it and see. Let's see. I'll turn. Let's see. Settings. Copy. Okay. All right. Let me pull up any other thoughts on Slack before we go back to this here. All right. Now, the other items on. Oh yeah. Question.
Just a quick question for those that use Slack on a regular basis. Where does it fall in like the urgency and scale? Like chat messages are often, respond to immediately. Email messages are respond to before your next meal. Yeah. Are you able to make yourself quiet on Slack, and are you able to focus on your work when it's integrated into tools that require you to be working?
Yeah, I don't know if anybody's got feedback there. I think I kind of treat Teams and email and Slack all kind of the same way, right? I mean, if I need time, like heads down time to get something done, I do my absolute best to just ignore all those things until I get that task done. So yes, I do look at my email and I look at Teams and things probably about 50 times a day. But there's definitely something to be said about like when you have to get something done, just getting your head down, getting it done, and making sure obviously if you're a leader in a company, making sure that that's the expectation as well. And I have to guess that, not even guess, I'm 97% sure that in Slack, there are ways you can set certain channels that are like you can notify people even if they're set as do not disturb. So, there could be like a critical issue, channel that you have that the expectation is everything else can wait until, prior to lunch or, when you're done your work. But there's that one channel that if it's an emergency, like everybody's got to get on and like take care of that. So, yeah, I think it's just a matter of kind of planning out your channels and setting the expectations and that shouldn't be any different between Slack, Teams, or email.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah. All right. So
I have
yeah.
I have some feedback on that. So I work for a consulting company. So we actually have Slack channels with our customers, and we set the expectation that you'll get like an initial 24-hour response time, not a resolution time, but we will get back to you in 24 hours. So don't Slack us every minute, basically, and expect to get an answer. Then we have obviously our internal channels, and we have important ones for the company, right? So if we see a message in announcements, as an example, like definitely read that. But then there's all kinds of like fun channels that, it's optional if you want to join or check it out, or you can leave, like, a dad jokes channel or like a random channel, like things like that. So, it's definitely up to you. Some days I just don't sign into Slack. And I always have my Slack sounds muted just because I'm on a lot of calls and I don't want it to, keep pinging me. So that's how we use Slack.
Am I the only one that would probably ignore the announcements channel and really subscribe to the dad jokes channel? Like I would probably focus more on that.
I think I'd live there.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. I think. Just based on what happened with Dreamforce this week with Slack, I think it's something I definitely need to dust off and get re-familiar with, and see all the different ways you can kind of plug it into Salesforce. All right. So the rest of these items I had on here, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because in many cases there's not a lot of detail there. And in a lot of cases, these are ones that were announced, but they're not even going to be beta until 2 releases out. So not much to say about them, but just kind of very quickly go through my list. Data Weave and Apex, I thought was pretty cool. So for those developers that have ever had to take an object or a list of records and turn it into JSON or a CSV file, a lot of that now is going to be like natively supported. You don't have to build the logic to do that. You can just call these, this data weave function. It can translate things between, different formats. I think that's pretty slick. Flow Orchestrator, that one I'm actually really looking forward to. I haven't been able to get a lot of details about when this is coming out. I think maybe it's at the bottom here. I got to look, but essentially like building business processes that it's not like a flow where it's going to all execute at once or it's based on a scheduled time. You can actually think of it more like an approval process where like something can happen. Then, another record gets routed to another team. They do their part. And then when that's finished, it goes somewhere else. So really complex business process logic automation, and it's coming and it looks very similar to Flow. So I think you even create it from the Flow screen, and then you can build these, again, very complex processes, all with declarative tools. So a lot of this stuff you couldn't do, without things like Apex and, other kind of coding. So really looking forward to this one. I guess, Trailhead DX, maybe they'll have more details about when that comes out, or let's see here, Flow Orchestrator beta. Okay. So maybe it's out in beta, but I'm not sure whether it's going to be GA, but I'm definitely looking forward to that one.
They also mentioned something about a feature license for that. So it's possible they put it behind a feature license.
That's going to suck. Yeah.
Right? So it's going to be available for everybody in the sandbox. And then when it goes GA, who knows?
I feel like everything I get really excited about, there's always that one gotcha that comes out about it. All All right, so let's see. So dynamic interactions. This one's actually really cool. I'm looking forward to this one as well. But this basically would allow you to create, let's see if there's a good screenshot. Yeah, here we go. So this is, let's say you build a lightning page, custom lightning page where you have a list view, you have a little map component, and then maybe have like a detail page, right? So historically, to get all these things to talk to each other, I don't know any other way to do it except for building something custom with lightning components or lightning web components. But now, declaratively, you'll be able to wire these things all together. So with your list view on the left, you can click on a record. That will now update the map to show the address of that record you clicked on. And then the detail section will show the detail pane for that record you clicked on. And again, all declaratively. So that one's going to be pretty slick. Dynamic interaction.
Awesome. Is that map component, is that out of the box, or is that, you think that's a Lightning Web component?
I think it's a web component. Yeah. I'm looking over here in the standard components here. I don't think they announced any like.
I went right to my sandbox and tried, and I couldn't find it.
Yeah. I think that's a custom component that they have there. All right. The other thing, watching Will Smith, his presentation, I guess I was living under a rock, but apparently there's a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reboot that's happening. So if you're a Fresh Prince fan, I put the link there so you can take a look at that as well. So I was always a big Fresh Prince fan. All right. Home child Kanbans. All right. Now I couldn't find the announcement post for this, but there was an app exchange app that was through Salesforce Labs that looks pretty close to what I saw during the presentation. So essentially what this allows you to do is, you know how you can have a list view where you can turn the list view into a Kanban view. This will allow you to have those kind of Kanban views embedded within your pages. So for example, if you had like an opportunity record and then you had, to-dos or something related to that opportunity, you can actually have that kind of Kanban sitting on your page and be able to move things, move related records related to the opportunity in a Kanban on the opportunity page. So again, this isn't the right screenshot, but it kind of gets you close to, to what it kind of looks like. So like, here you go. For an account, you have your opportunities and you can move them around, to the different stages, all related to that account. So I thought that was pretty slick. That should be nice.
Yeah.
We, a couple weeks ago in one of our workshops, we built like a feature defect tracking and like a log related to those features and defects. I could see how this could be pretty cool for that. So if I'm developing a feature, if you think I'm sitting on the feature record page and I have my log of like all the things related to that feature, being able to kind of move them through the process, one at a time, right on the record, that's pretty slick. I like that. Any thoughts on that one?
Add that to a console view so that you can open the records in another tab within the console. I think that would be pretty amazing.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Dynamic actions. This one I think is actually available right now. And this is basically where on a record page, you can actually control on the lightning page for a record. You can control specifically what actions you want to display on that page. Before this, it was kind of a muddled, complex thing between the old school, page layout and, how do you get certain actions to show here, but not there. So this will allow you just to basically specify on a lightning page the exact actions that you want to see. So you can do that right through the lightning page builder. Very similar, this is kind of a common thread that we're seeing now where, you no longer have to rely on a page layout for things. You can do a custom on the lightning page, just like now with, custom forms and custom fields. So you can actually just drop your fields onto the lightning page. This is similar to that. Now you can actually do that for actions. Now, if they could do that for fields on the highlights panel, so I don't have to worry about, what do you call them? Compact layouts and all that kind of stuff. That would be the next big thing for me. But yeah, that's another cool one. Speaking of dynamic forms, the other thing I saw that was pretty cool here was the ability to take a page layout and just convert it into a dynamic forms, dynamic fields. So instead of having to have one screen where you're looking at the page layout and then have another one where you're trying to build this custom thing, this will allow you just to drop that detail page on there, click a button, upgrade now, and then it converts it for you right into dynamic fields that you can then modify from there. So a nice time saver as you're building pages. All right, and then the last few ones here, auto launch flows can now be called as a subflow on a record triggered flow. That's kind of a mouthful, but if you have a record triggered flow, you can now actually call these existing auto launch flows you might have where, historically you might have a process builder that would call these auto launch flows. Now you can do that same thing from record triggered flow. So record triggered flows can call a subflow that is an auto launch flow. Again, say that 10 times, but that's pretty cool. From the developer side, Salesforce functions, Jesse, I have a pretty good feeling that this one is going to have that same caveat of going to be a paid service that you have to pay for. But really cool thing here is that if you have a lot of records that you're trying to process, you're always fighting Salesforce governor limits, for batch Apex or, real-time transactions. This kind of gets you out of that, right? So you can actually build these functions in, Java, JavaScript, TypeScript. They're basically external functions that exist kind of, I don't want to say off platform, but essentially they're off platform. And now your Apex code and your Lightning Web Components can call these functions and process large amounts of Salesforce records without having to be dependent on those governor limits. So that's a pretty cool one. But I don't think there's a lot of details, and I've been trying to get the beta set up for that, but I haven't been successful yet. And then the last one on my list was Code Builder, right? So, we had, if you think back in the day, you had to do a lot of your development in text editors, and then they went to Eclipse was kind of the approved, IDE for Salesforce development. Now, I think the most common one now is VS Code. And now I think this will be the next extension to that, which is going to be Code Builder, which essentially takes all the power of VS Code and puts it in the browser. So you can do all the stuff that you might be able to do within VS Code through a web interface. Now, this one, I think this is in beta now. I have some doubts about this and like how right now I connect VS Code to GitHub, and I connect all different orgs, with authorize all different things. I'm not sure how it's going to work, right? Through a web component. Like, where's the data live? Where are all my preferences and things being stored? Like, I just don't know what that's going to look like. But I think it's coming. I think we jump back here. Code Builder is going to be beta, not in this next release, the winter release, but spring of next year. So, yeah, that's those are the ones that I kind of thought were pretty cool that I saw announced. Anything that I missed that you guys thought was exciting or you're looking forward to?
I thought the Lionel Richie segment was quite cool as well.
Of course.
I missed that one. I missed that. The one that I thought was really cool was the Foo Fighters when they had all the Salesforce mascots up in the front dancing. So if you haven't seen that YouTube video, that's definitely worth a look. David Grohl and inflated Salesforce mascots. Can't beat it.
He cracked up right before the song. I didn't think he was going to start it.
Yeah, I'll have to find that link. I'll have to post that into our quick doc, so those that didn't see that can see it. Well, yeah, that's everything I had on my list then for Dreamforce. So if you guys think of anything else, or if there's anything that you would want to see in a deep dive going forward, definitely let me know, and we can jump into that. But with that, maybe
I missed the Code Builder thing. Do you know what session it was part of? I could go back and watch it. Salesforce Plus. Did anybody like think that was amazing? I thought it was a really good way to present. And now your on demand is available immediately afterwards. I think it's super cool. You don't have to wait and then try and find the recordings and stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was just a little offshoot there. But do you know what session that Code Builder?
Answer your question. No, I have no idea. I'll have to go back and try to see if I can find it. But to your point about Salesforce Plus, I think the way I liked how they presented Dreamforce this year, I thought it was really cool that usually, like when they open up all the sessions, you have to kind of go through that full list and you have to, subscribe to each one. You got to try to build your calendar. The fact that they had 4 channels that I could very easily like look to see what's upcoming and just switch between the channels, I thought that was super convenient. And then of course, if there was any kind of conflicts, you can always go back on demand and watch them. So I thought it was really, really well executed.
Hey, can I chime in here with what you said, Bill? The Salesforce functions, those actually were written by the Heroku team, and they run on Amazon hardware is where they're running at. So FYI. And then the new Code Builder is supposed to get rid of the developer console and Workbench also. That's what it's supposed to be doing. So yeah. We've been trying to get rid of developer console for years. And I think the Visual Studio stuff is helping. And so this would be great when they get it done because it needs an upgrade. Everybody uses Workbench, but it's not supported. So
yeah. And even thinking about developer console, the fact that, at least in my knowledge right now, I haven't tried this recently, but I don't think you can write Lightning web components through developer console. So there's always like, you can do Lightning R components there. You have to go somewhere else to do Lightning web components. So yeah, the fact that they'll bring that all together, I think that'd be nice. And then, yeah, to your point, Workbench, comparing the SQL query stuff that you can do within developer console to the data movement of Workbench, getting that all into one place would be nice. Very cool. All right. Well, anything else from Dreamforce before I open it up here? All right. So that being said, what we can do here is we can open up for questions. Does anybody have any Trailhead issues, super badge help you need, or questions from work or anything else for that matter that you would like to go through? Open forum.
May I ask a quick question?
Sure. Good.
Thank you so much. I'm on the list views, and I was doing my certification prep. I'm trying to get the split screen view, the split list view, and I don't see it offered on my drop-down pick list. Is there something I need to go back and look at?
Yeah, let me share my screen here and I'll show you, or at least I'll try to show you what I think you're looking for here. So I actually don't have a Scratchwork built, so I'm just going to jump into one of my demo environments here. So when you go to a list view, for example, opportunities. So this is kind of the standard list view that you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
And then to get this where you kind of have the list over here, but then you can see the details next to it over here.
Yeah.
You would do that with this icon right here. So there's this split view right there.
Bear with me, I'm just moving. Could you do that again, please?
Yep. Well, I think I can. Let me try. Okay, there we go. Yeah. So you're in your standard view. Good.
Yeah.
And then you have the icon right there.
Yeah.
Click on that and just change that to split view.
But that's what I mean. When I drop down, there's no option there.
Interesting. Okay.
I was just wondering if I've done something wrong.
No, I wonder
the type of report. This is a report. Sorry, it's list view.
List views, yeah.
I get table and I get Kanban, but I don't get an option for split view.
All right, let's go Old Faithful here. So Salesforce list view.
So if I'm not mistaken, a split view requires that you have a lookup field in your columns.
Oh, so I need to go back and maybe tick that.
Yeah.
For example, if you have all text fields in your columns, you're not going to be able to split because there's nothing to split on.
Okay.
The app is not Lightning enabled. That could be another one. So, okay. So I actually have so if I go here, let's try this. So I think this is my old non-Lightning enabled Resource Hero app. So if I were to go to opportunities here, do I see split view? Yes, I do. Okay. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. If it's if it doesn't have a lookup. I don't think I have any objects that don't have a lookup relationship. Lightning. And the object is only temporary in their navigation bar. Okay, that could be another one. All right. So if we if I were to look up, oh, I don't even know. It's of course, yeah, this environment, I don't have too many apps here. But what's a okay, account? I don't have account here. So if I were to go to the account object, will let me see split view here. Oh, there you go. So there's one example where it wouldn't show up.
Okay, then so I have to add it to the heading list, and then I should be able to see it.
Yeah, say that's slightly different. If the tab that you're on right now is not part of the app that you're currently on, if it's only there temporarily, then you won't get the split view. You always see those two. But if you added that to the app manager for that app, then you should see it there.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, and then just see.
Great job Googling, Bill.
There you go. That's it.
That was
Hey, I say
excellent,
this every
Googling.
call, right? I say this every call. There's absolutely no way to know everything on Salesforce anymore.
That's true.
So,
Mhm.
all right, and just to wrap that one up here, right? So they say if a user was to customize their app here and add all, and if I added accounts here for my personal settings, I should then be able to see the split view. There you go.
Aha.
Yeah, so you can either add it to the
Awesome.
app for everybody, or if that one user wants to be able to see split view, but nobody else in that app needs it, they can customize it, add it there.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. All right, cool. Anything else in? Any other questions or issues or anything else? Yeah, good, Anthony.
So for some reason, I'm not able to log into my sandbox today, but I was trying to go through, I downloaded the volunteer pack, and I was going through that Trailhead to be able to get volunteers to go to a website and be able to have them sign up. And I went through it in the Trailhead, and I was following through, but instead of putting the Trailhead information in there, I was in my sandbox putting my own stuff in.
Yeah.
And I got to the part where you're supposed to be able to click it and see it on the website, and nothing shows up. I don't know how to fix it.
Do you happen to have the link to the trail that you were following through? We could take a look.
I will in a second.
And
someone else can answer, or you can go somewhere else.
While you're doing that, does anybody have any familiarity with that particular use case?
It happened to me as well, but I don't remember how I fixed it. But I think that Volunteers for Salesforce is being less and less supported as time goes on, and it's built on visual force pages.
All right, so that's the name of the app. I just found that on the App Exchange. Volunteers for Salesforce, is that what it is?
Yep.
Yeah, guys, I had to mute. I'm dog sitting for the next week, and my sister-in-law's dog is probably the most obnoxious animal that I've ever met before. Love her to death, but she's obnoxious. In any case, yeah, Anthony, if you have that link, we can take a look at that and just see where some gotchas
Working on it. I'll put it in the chat in a second when I get to it.
Okay, yeah, and this is what I'm looking at right here. So, like, is this kind of what they're supposed to be able to see?
No, so that part, yeah, yep, exactly. Be able to go in there and sign up and see what that particular event is supposed to be for. And my goal on that would be to be able to set up a community calendar with all the different events for people to volunteer in, and not just my org, but a whole bunch of other people's.
Yeah.
And I can't, I get to the part where it says, is under construction.
Yeah,
almost the trail. Just a second here.
Yeah, I gotta feel like that has something to do with remote site settings or something.
Yeah, so that's the trail I'm at right there. Yep. So almost before I get to the website integration, is the one before that kind of walks you through it, and where to go and stuff. And I followed it. And when mine goes through, it guess what part says is under construction.
Okay. And it's managed volunteers for nonprofits, this one?
I think that's the one, yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So not that one, not that one. So if you go down to volunteer registration, that one.
This one here?
Nope, one more up.
Oh, sorry.
So I created the volunteer jobs, I did job shifts, set up a campaign, and then it says, all right, so never mind. All of these things you have to do first. And then once you get all those things done, you go on to the next part, which is that. And you should be able to sign up your volunteers through your website. So that.
Yeah. So if I had to guess, if I'm just scanning through here, so this part here, so sites, register. So did you go through all these steps here to register the site? Create the site?
Maybe I missed that part.
Yeah, because I think that's going to be the key piece that actually makes this available externally, right? This is the part of where like you have stuff in Salesforce and a Visual Force page or in records that you want to be able to display externally. That's what sites will allow you to do. So, and then the other thing is, even if you did these steps, maybe just check to make sure that it's active. That would be the other thing I might check to see.
So it's not, I just finally got to my Trailhead. The website integration, it was before that. So I was on the volunteer registration section. And I got down to creating a shift. 1 second. I'll have to come back on next Friday and then ask, because I'm missing where I screwed up at. And I don't want to take up other people's time. So I apologize.
No worries. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put I'll put my email address in the chat here. If you want to set up a time to kind of go through that in detail, shoot me an email. We can coordinate a call and just walk through that and see where
I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, cool. I know somebody mentioned that the volunteers for Salesforce Volunteers app is probably going to be going away, or it's not going to be as supported. Is there a replacement for that, or is there like the new way to do things, or is that it and they're just not updating it?
I believe they're just not updating it. The developer that developed it developed another part of the Salesforce nonprofit piece, and both of those pieces, I don't recall what the other one is. They're basically static code at this point.
You got the nonprofit starter pack?
Yeah, no, they're still doing NPSP, but there's let me look at the Power of Us hub real quick, see if I can remember what the other.
And looking at the volunteers one, it looks like that was updated in July. What's the last time?
So that's too bad, because to me, that's something that that nonprofits need a lot of, and that is how do they manage their volunteers? And I was hoping to be able to get that part down and then start doing some pro bono work and teaching the nonprofits how they can manage their volunteers and tie that in with the emails that go with it. And hey, you volunteered here, and there's all other stuff. And with the flow, it looked like that would be a perfect way to start having conversations with nonprofits for me. So
there is a program management module that might have some potential for volunteer management. I don't think it's as built out as the actual volunteer management app, but that could be something to look into. It's a little bit newer, and so that will definitely have some updates from Salesforce with time going forward.
If I'm not mistaken, that volunteer one you're looking at is not Lightning enabled, if I'm not mistaken. So we're trying to get everything moved over to Lightning if possible. It's kind of a big push. And that may be why, I don't know, but that could be one of the reasons also.
Yeah.
Was the new philanthropy cloud pack, which is for the profit side, but the corporate world, would they give which has all the volunteering and the tracking of it and everything for corporate, would they give a version of that to the nonprofit part, or add that to the other pack possibly?
Yeah, I don't know.
So it didn't have the pricing.
Yeah, it's something that I do know some folks that are on that NPSP team, and maybe they can speak to that a little bit better. So maybe I'll invite them to one of these calls, and because there's always questions about NPSP, and I'm definitely not the right point of contact for that. So I can try to invite them to one of our upcoming calls. All right. So yeah, the volunteers, I'll be honest, I didn't even know that app existed. So that's on my list now. I'll take a look at that just to see. But anything else? Any other questions or topics that you guys want to go through? Open it up for everybody again. Everybody's good. That's good. Anybody besides, I think it was Bruce, right? You're taking the exam today. Anybody else have any upcoming exams that they're studying for?
I've been fighting with PD1 for some time now, so I'm probably going to take that here in another month or so. But that was one of the first ones that that I failed back in July. So I'm gonna try that soon.
Do they still give you your results as far as like breaking it down by section and what percentage you get?
Yeah.
Okay. If there was one section that was giving you the most trouble, what whereabouts was it?
I think it was the logic section, which was the biggest one. There's like 3 things grouped in there. It was logic and something else, but it's like everything in regards to like Apex logic, and I think they have some questions in there where you have to see what the logic is doing and sort of pick an answer based off of that question there. So I think that was the part that I struggled with. I just haven't written a lot of code.
Yeah.
Hey Ben, have you done this focus on force testing yet by any chance?
Yeah, I did go through that, and I didn't do great on that one either. But I just figured I wanted to see what the difference was between the real test and the focus on force, and not prepared for either one of them. So I need to spend some time studying.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm gonna go back and get my PD1 also. I've let my slide from a long time ago. So, and I'm doing the focus on force, and it seems pretty good. The only problem I had was like they ask a lot of like really pedantic questions, like what are the certain methods on describe function, and as an developer, you just never know that. You either autocomplete that or you look it up, so it seems like kind of sucks, but yeah, it is what it is. So,
Yeah, and I'm not like a coder. Thank you. Yeah, that's not my background, so I'm trying to round out my get my application architect cert and sort of round that out. So it's different writing code, and I'm usually just developing applications.
And get my long sleeve shirt, please.
Yeah. One thing about the certifications that after Dreamforce, I'm feeling a little bit more depressed about this whole thing is that I forget what her name was, but they interviewed. It was a woman. She had taken like 18 certifications in like 8 months, and I'm like, okay, I really need to reevaluate my life here. But 18 in like 8 months, I'm like,
one guy, he was his wife. They're both vets, I think, and she got her admin cert, and he got 5, including the CTA cert. I'm like, how do you get the CTA cert in 5 months if you've never hardly developed any apps before? I don't know if that's true or not, so I don't know. But that's kind of blew my mind, because that's like years long studying for the CTA.
Yeah, I don't know how they do it, but maybe I need to start joining more of David's calls so I can figure out how to get my life on track and get my certifications. I think is what
all I know is I talked when I first started here like 6 years ago. We had just started the certification program for architects, and they told me they had 80 the first year, and all 80 of them failed. The very first year. Yeah, the CTA when they first started. Everybody failed.
Wow.
I think the way that I got most of my certs was I got I think 8 last year. But it was all just, I was working for a partner, and, I show up at work one week and they're like, all right, we're doing Sales Cloud implementation. And, you do that for your job day in and day out, 40 hours a week. And then at the end of the project, I would just go take the test. And it was really pretty easy after that, because I had spent a couple of weeks or, 3 or 4 sprints looking through help pages. So I think it helps when you're like, that's what you're doing. And I know some people, like when I first started back in the day, I was coming home from work and then doing this stuff. And that was a lot harder to get the admin cert because I wasn't living it. But once you're like working for a partner, so to speak, you just take the experience and then you go take the test, and it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
I know one thing that they did a lot in both the admin and the PD1 is that the difference between workflow, process builder, and flows, and how and when and what the circumstances are, use different ones. And we hit those up quite a bit.
Well, I'm fully assuming that in the next iteration of these tests, there should be a question that's like, should you use process builder, workflow, or flow? And the only answer that is correct on that is you should never use anything but flow. That's like the new.
Right.
I thought the answer was going to be you need to use Slack.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. None of the above. It's Slack. Slack will be the answer for everything.
Slack's great. I mean, I don't know if you see it, Bill, but we actually run our help desk out of Slack. So when you put a ticket in for help, it just comes back into the Slack app, and you run everything out of Slack now. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah,
nice.
we were kind of touching on this in the beginning. I think what I really need to do, I need to see some real practical examples of how they're gonna, like, people are using these integrations, because it just seems very gimmicky to me right now until I could see something that's like tangible and usable.
Well, there is a Trailhead Slack app. I'm not sure if it's internal only right now, but you can like you can like you can suggest badges to people, you can look at your progress, some other things. And so the Trailhead team is really big. We have a whole team just devoted to Slack and Trailhead. And we started that about right before we announced that we were buying Slack. We started working on that stuff. So we've been doing that for a long time. And I actually installed the Slack app for Trailhead back in, like 4 or 5 years ago when I first started here. So we've been using that for a long time. Yeah. We got all kinds of integration with it. We have, development tools integrate with it, all kinds of things integrate with Slack.
I would like to see the Salesforce community groups integrated with Slack, where like for every community group, there's a channel that you can join where you can just see the updates come through. You can see which ones have new, because I feel like right now the Salesforce communities are very disconnected. The groups and what you follow and the emails that you get on a weekly basis. Like if it was just a Slack channel, that would be cool.
Honestly, you could probably set up your own integration. I created a Slack group just for myself. And there's apps in there where you can like Slack for Gmail, right? And then you can probably just have, if you set your community page or whatever, to send like every email or every post to your email, and then send that from your email to Slack. You could probably have an integration where all the emails that are posted in the community get sent over to the Slack room.
Yeah, I fully expect that within like the next month. Charlie Isaacs. Does anybody here know Charlie Isaacs? He's a great dude. If you don't know him, you don't follow him on Twitter, you really should. But he is really down in the weeds on a lot of this, Internet of Things, like IoT type stuff. And I have to assume that at some point we're going to see like, a Slack channel, a Slack notification when like your coffee's done or something. It'll notify you in Slack or something. So yeah, I'll expect to see that.
I'm here till 3:30.
Anything else? Any other questions or issues you guys want to walk through for today?
I have one more quick question for you guys.
Sure.
As I'm learning this and trying to get into the ecosystem, what are the other trails, I guess, would be the best ones after Salesforce admin that I should be working on or doing or knowing so that I'm more employable, I guess would be the right word to say.
My answer to that has been the same for the last couple of years. I think Platform App Builder, I think, is probably the best because it gives you like there's things you can do in Sales Cloud, there's things you can do in Service Cloud, but Platform App Builder, I think, is like one of those that's common across everything, like learning about the flows and automation and custom objects and fields. So my answer would be Platform App Builder. Would definitely be a good one to go through. Anybody else have any other thoughts on what would be the next logical one to go through?
Was the question? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Omni Studio.
Omni Studio. I don't even know what that is. I'm going to write it down.
That just came out. It's from marketing. Is that right?
I don't have a lot of background on it, but I know there's some big players in the field that are wanting to implement that. And as part of their Salesforce thing and finding resources that are knowledgeable in it is my understanding is a challenge at the moment. So
yeah, Omni Studio came from I think Salesforce's purchase of Velocity, and they rebranded that as
that's right.
As Omni Studio. Yeah, there's a lot of cool features in there. There's a trail on it, and you can get a dev org for Omni Studio. But yeah, the flex cards are something that you can. It's like flex cards and Omni scripts. It's like Flow on steroids. You can really connect a bunch of different objects and pull things in, and you can customize the components, the Omni Studio components with CSS, and yeah, you just a lot of flexibility that similar to Flow, like in what you're trying to do, but you just have a lot more power and customizing options there.
Nice.
So, and that's just a part of it, but it's a cool thing. I would check it out if anyone's interested.
No, Ben, I'm a little ignorant on the whole Omni Studio thing, but is this so we actually have a Salesforce MVP that's going to be speaking to us next week. So Omni Studio, basically the way he explained this to me is that you have like cases that go into a queue, and then essentially your people, when they're checked in, they'll see like cases that can be assigned to them. They can take ownership of them. It's like, is that what it is, or is it different than that? Is it different?
So that's omni-channel. Omni-channel is really routing within Salesforce, and I think you can do it with flows now. You can connect omni-channel up with flows. That was one of the cool new features that came out. I think
but that is different than Studio.
Yeah. Omni Studio is a whole separate suite of products?
So it's designed towards verticals, if that makes any sense. So they've got object models built out for like healthcare and banking and insurance, manufacturing, and it takes a lot of that architecture building that you do and a lot of that programming that you do. And it even takes some of the data flows and like MuleSoft functionality and puts it into a nice little drag and drop user interface, kind of like.
I'm assuming this is one of those that's additional cost, Jeff?
I think significant additional cost.
I think it is too, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. As soon as they put up that paywall, I'm out. I'll go to the next thing. Omni Studio. That is definitely on my list to check out. I have no experience on Omni Studio. All right, very cool. Last 5 minutes here. Any other questions or anything else you guys want to walk through?
Just curious if there's a Slack group for this group.
So there is. So there's a Slack military trailblazer Slack workspace. But I just saw a note this morning from Catherine that I think they're reworking it and they're going to be relaunching it. So she said more to follow. So because somebody specifically asked a question like, hey, can we invite other people that might not be a part of this already? Can we invite them here? And that was her answer. Hold off for now because they're going to be doing some rebranding or relaunch of that. So yeah, I'll definitely keep you posted on that. But I feel like every couple of weeks we get a new channel. So we have like the VetForce community, we have the Trailblazer community, we have the LinkedIn group, which if you're not a part of the LinkedIn group, please join the LinkedIn group. We have Slack now. So yeah, we got all these different channels. If they were all just connected in one place, it'd be great. So, but if just the final thing here, you should note in the chat here, I put in the notes here, and I'll make sure that I send this out as a comment too, both on LinkedIn and in the community. But if you want to see any of the links that we clicked on today or, kind of review what we had talked about and the recording, they'll all be posted on that quick doc that you can access there. So that being said, 5 minutes, I'll hang out if anybody else has any other questions. Otherwise, if we don't, I hope everybody has a great weekend. Thanks all.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.
Thanks so much for that info.
Yeah.
Real quick, I'm sorry. You have your, you said the videos are posted on the, where is it? Sorry, I'm trying to find it.
Yeah, I'm gonna post a video on the quick doc. So instead of trying to put different links all over the place, I have that one link that's got our notes, and it'll have the link to the recording in there as well. And I'll post that in the LinkedIn Office Hours group as well as on the VetForce community.
You had gave me your email last time. I didn't know that I don't have my actual computer that I was working with at the time. Can you resend?
Yep, it's in the chat.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Sir.
Yeah, and that goes for anybody. If you want to reach out to me and we can coordinate a time to meet and go through anything that you have in detail, always happy to jump on.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
No worries. All right, cool. All right, guys. Thank you all. Enjoy your weekend.
Hey, Bill.
Catch up next week.
All right.